Oireachtas Mattie McGrath.
Yes, well, I'm awake as a quarter on Count Cola and his staff for giving me this topical. Minister, I'm glad you're here to discuss this. In recent days, the dairy company Corman Miloco, who employed 31 people at his manufacturing plant facility, is to close at the end of June, came as devastating news for the family of those impacted in the town of Carrick-on-Suir and surrounding areas. In a statement, the company said the decision was as a result of a reduction in volume of the business contracted at the facility in recent years and follows significant restructuring efforts to enable it to operate in a highly competitive marketplace. Corman Miloco was the last of the traditional employers in Carrick-on-Suir. Miloco is there 70 years the most. They're longer than I'm on this earth, certainly. And indeed, the tannery in Waterford was there. The tannery also in Carrickbeg. And between them, they must have had, 700-800 jobs. I remember Miloco, they worked 3 shifts, an excellent workforce. They worked 3 shifts round the clock, and they also supported local hauliers and local Glanbia tankers with a washing facility. And they were a tremendous workforce and a good company to work for, let's be fair about it. And I want to thank you, Minister, and I know you've been engaging and you're going to engage further with the factory and with the company. The town of Carrick-on-Suir, as I said, is decimated because we don't have the jobs. Now, we have caused that, the Development Association. We have many local employers, and we have the likes of Councillor Cian Burke who are doing Trojan work there to try and keep the town going. But it's becoming a satellite town for other towns because we don't have any industry. And to a couple of questions, and Tara, has the option been explored for an alternative use for the manufacturing plant, which is located just off the N24, right on the N24, and in order to continue and having an important role in the local economy? Will a task force be established to examine the potential for job creation in this area? And what efforts are the IDA making to attract foreign companies to set up operations in those areas? Minister, I couldn't emphasise enough that the workforce, how good they have been, and the many families that I knew over the years that worked there. And I hope that they'll be engaged in other plants that Glanbia will be able to give them jobs, or if not, if they prefer to take redundancy, I hope they'll be well looked after because they've earned it, they deserve it, they're a good workforce. I wanted just to say that the site's a very delicate site. While it is on the N24, the N24, actually, the front wall is beside the N24. It's only feet away from it. The plant is set probably 5 or 6 metres away from it. At the back then, the newly developed Blueway, right behind it, 4 or 5 metres away from it again. So that's a huge tourist attraction for cyclists, walkers, fishermen, for everything. So we can't have this site go into any state of dereliction. I'm not giving up the ghost that we'll find some other business for it, but we must maintain that site. It's a highly technical site now. One time there used to be odours, that was all sorted out with different state-of-the-art high-tech, percolation treatments and all. So it's a good plant. It's up and running. We have until June. Please God, some other use will be found for it, and if not, the staff must be supported. But again, as I said, the plant with Tipperary County Council and, as I said, Cosden and Carrick-on-Suir must be put to good use, can't be left into any state of dereliction. The tannery is a distant memory in Waterford, in Carrick-on-Suir, across the border. I keep saying in Carrickbeg, it's the town of Carrick, but it has given long service, and it's a sore point with the people of Carrick-on-Suir and that south-east Tipperary and West Waterford, or East Waterford, sorry. And we want to make sure this doesn't go the same road as that we'll find an alternative and we'll keep a willing workforce engaged in productive work.
Last kind Corla, and I'd greatly like to thank the Deputy for raising this important matter and giving me an opportunity to address it. Like you, Deputy, I was extremely disappointed to learn the news of this closure, and my first concern obviously goes to those workers and their families, as well as the wider population of Carrick-on-Suir straddling the Waterford-Tipperary border that so many of us know so well and have enjoyed visiting so many times. The Department learned of the impending closure of the plant last week, And unfortunately, as you know, Deputy, Cormac and Maloko have experienced reduced volumes in recent years, and restructuring efforts simply were not successful. The company has now begun a consultation process with all existing employees regarding a redundancy programme, and they have been in touch with my department about this. I can assure you, Deputy, that Tirlán and Enterprise Ireland will remain in close contact with the company, as will departmental officials, to support the workers and company through this very delicate process up to and beyond June. I have requested that officials in my department monitor the situation carefully and crucially work closely with the Department of Social Protection to do whatever we can for the employees affected. I know, Deputy, this is a really frightening time for the employees and their families, but I think it is important to talk to them about what the opportunities are and what work will be done by the government and its agency to help them through this very difficult process, because they are the #1 key priority, and of course all the related people, be they family members or the people who relied on these workers in this business second-hand in Carrick-on-Suir. It's very difficult at a time when there's so much job creation in the country and effective full employment. It's very simple for a lot of people to dismiss any sort of redundancies and say, well, there's always jobs out there. But Deputy, as you know better than I do, a lot of these people have put their entire livelihoods into this enterprise. It was a good plant, as you said, but unfortunately restructuring in a parent company has meant that they have had to move their operations elsewhere. But that doesn't mean we give up on the site, or we give up, more importantly, on the workers. And I know this does not make the loss any easier for those who work in the plant, but I hope it gives them hope that the government is going to put massive effort into them as people if they want to do any retraining, if they want to reskill, or to, more importantly, help them get the so many jobs that are unfilled in this region in the dairy and production sector. And you know as well as I do, Deputy, the amount of companies around Tipperary and into Waterford who are dying out for good, high-quality staff, like those people who worked in Cormac and Maloko and gave their livelihoods to it. And it's important to stress that we are there to support and to help those who find themselves losing their job or without work. Those training courses, financial support and mentorship. I would urge everyone impacted to reach out to their local Intrio office to see what is available to them when a statutory redundancy package is offered, and the government will be there to make sure that that package is fully compliant with the requirements that Coleman and Maloko have to Irish law. Deputy asked a little bit more in relation to the use for the site. As you know, the site in itself will go back over to Tirlán, whereas the equipment will go to Coleman, who will use it in their other operations. I have great hopes for this site. As you rightly say, it's located in a perfect location in the country, in the region, to attract good, high-quality investment, like the 600 additional jobs that Enterprise Ireland has brought to Tipperary in recent years, but also in the surge in jobs in Waterford. And needless to say, Deputy, even though these jobs losses will be very difficult for many people, no stone will be left unturned to make sure that new jobs are provided, and crucially, that enterprise goes into such an important town like Carrick-on-Suir and the affected regions nearby.
Thank you, Minister, and thanks for your positive reply. I want to say you should engage, I hope you will engage with the district members. I mentioned Keaton Brook and David Dunn is the chair of it at the moment. Upstream, Minister, you have a wonderful plant facility of Merck Dome. They all said they come these FDIs and they go away. They're there for nearly 60 years now. So if you miles up the river, I think with COSDA, a wonderful organisation, the Carrick-on-Suir Development Association, great people involved, with the business people. We have a wonderful network of schools and sporting clubs and everything gets in Carrick-on-Suir. The spirit of the people cannot be questioned, but they're willing to work and engage with you in a task force with the likes of Merck, maybe. I know they did help in the past with Carrick-on-Suir and issues. So I'm hoping that we will have a replacement plant in there, because this plant, as I said, is so close to the road. I mean, when we had the barges coming up, so just the river was right behind it. When we got stuff up from the deliveries up the barges, that's long ago. But this plant has served well. A dedicated workforce. Some of them second generation there that worked, and their parents worked as well. As I said, it precedes me, and I'm Shashka Kahar Blina Dish. So I'm saying that we need to work sensitively with the county council, with those councils I mentioned, COSDA, and indeed with companies like Merck and other business people that are in Carrick-on-Suir that have great ideas. and they give private people, they give great employment for the people. So all hope isn't lost here. And as I said, the workers must be looked after, but the plant must be kept. I was a bit alarmed to see that you said that equipment might be moved with the parent company. At Glanbia, remember, until now, that started off as South Tipperary farmers, ordinary people in the spirit of the cooperative society, spirit of the metal. And we must go back and invoke that spirit now again, the late great Canon Hayes, and try and revitalise this plant. Get new people into it, because in advance of their leaving, or as soon as they leave, because the wheels and the cogs must be kept turning. We can't leave it in any sense of dereliction. We must work hard to try and keep it going.
Deputy, I can assure you that hope is most certainly not lost in relation to this site and the people who've worked in this plant for so many years. And I think we have to put it in the context when these redundancies are happening. It's nothing to do with the efficiency of the plant itself. It's certainly nothing to do with the 31 workers who've put their blood, sweat and tears into it. Unfortunately, it is a decision of a parent company, and it's happening, Deputy, I think you would acknowledge, at a time where the economy is growing. We are at effective unemployment. We are able to invest all that time that you talked about into not just the town of Carrick-on-Suir, but this specific site. And you asked for a couple of undertakings. Of course, we'll engage with the local county councillors, both in Carrick-on-Suir and over on the border in Waterford. I've already had a meeting with Senator Gareth O'Hearn about this. And you mentioned Merck Sharp and Dome, and it is convenient, Deputy, that I will be meeting them next week in the department, not just about this plant, but about wider issues in the South East and Midwest, where they have a lot of operations. I can give you that undertaking that I will bring this specific area and the need for reinvigoration into this area up with them next week when I meet them. And I hope you can get across, Deputy, that I want to work with you on this one, that I share your passion to make sure that we get these extremely skilled people, once the statutory issues have been dealt with, that we get them back into the workforce, because we badly need them, particularly in the dairy sector. These workers are needed. This isn't like the dark old days when the shutting down of a plant like this could destroy an entire town. There is opportunities. There are opportunities for jobs. There's opportunities for training. There's opportunities, more importantly, for these skills to be put back into the economy extremely quickly. And I look forward, Deputy, to working with you over the coming weeks into June and past that, to make sure that we breathe that bit of entrepreneurial life into the town and surrounds.